Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us for Healthier Kids Menus, Real Experience, Real Results. We're here today to talk about the critical arena of restaurants when it comes to fighting childhood obesity across the country. We're here today with panelists ChildObesity180 out of the Tufts University Friedman School of Nutrition. ChildObesity180 is focused on reversing America's childhood obesity epidemic within a generation's time, and one of their key initiatives is the Restaurant Initiative. We're also here to hear from the panelists from the Silver Diner, a locally owned and operated restaurant chain in Maryland and DC area. The Silver Diner made some significant changes to their kids menu, which were independently analyzed by the team at ChildObesity180. And what you're going to hear today will cover both the operational lessons learned and the results of that independent analysis. From ChildObesity180, we have Dr. Christina Economos, the co-founder and director, as well as an associate professor at the Tufts University Friedman School of Nutrition. We also have Chef Ethos von Hengst, the co-founder and vice president of culinary operations at the Silver Diner. Chris, take it away.
Thanks, Kate. Now we'll take a few minutes to provide some context for what we'll be talking about today.
Families love dining out. Busy parents and kids don't always have time for meals at home, and eating out is fun, fast, and easy. But is it healthy? For kids, not always. Yes, some restaurants do offer healthier options, but many seem hesitant to break away from the traditional kids menu. Why aren't more restaurants getting on board? Maybe they think kids won't order healthier foods, or that parents will take them somewhere else. Maybe they think their bottom line will suffer. But maybe it won't. Researchers with ChildObesity180 at Tufts University studied changes made to the kids menu at a regional restaurant chain. The new menu offered more healthy entrees, and all entrees came with healthy side dishes like strawberries and salad by default. Soda and fries were taken off the menu, but kids could still substitute them at no charge. So, what happened? Orders of healthy entrees and sides went up, while orders of fries and soda went down. And the restaurant's revenue continued to grow. Helping kids make healthier choices doesn't have to mean sacrificing growth. In fact, it may be just the opposite. So maybe restaurants can promote healthy eating among children and still remain competitive in the marketplace. Learn more at www.childobesity180.org/healthy meals.
Great. So that just gives you a preview of what we're going to talk about, and you can share that video with anyone who you think might be interested, and we'll get into more detail about what actually happened. So we set out to answer the question, what really happens when a restaurant offers healthier meals for kids? We know that a lot of members in the industry are making attempts to offer healthier options, and we also know it's important to a business for those offerings to be successful in terms of satisfaction of the clients as well as revenue. And there are lots of challenges with typical kids' meals. They tend to be higher in fat and sugar, there are limited options, and many children end up consuming excess calories when they're eating out. And we know from the literature that children eat out frequently and that they do overconsume when they dine out. So I want to segue now to Ipa, who would really tell us why restaurants would feel compelled to make changes.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. And this is something that is really close to my heart, and I think we all have the obligation of chiming in here and doing what the Silver Diner has been doing over the last couple of years. I think we have an obligation to serve healthier food. And how we started off is we saw about in 2008, 2009, we saw that families were leaving the Silver Diner. We didn't get as much young families anymore. And that was really a signal for us is that we needed to change. And then when we started this change, it became a lot of fun. After all, it's 88%, so 3 out of 4 of the parents, they wanted to have healthier offerings. And, we need to give the guests and we need to give the children what they need and what they want. It's not always what they want, but also what they need. And, we found this a very interesting process that we went through. what Matilda and Joe did, they emailed to 1,000. We got 1,000 responses to a kids club, and that's the 88% that you see in that set that wanted to have healthier food offerings. We wanted to make the right changes. When asked how we can improve a kids menu, 40% of the suggestions were healthier options. And what we did is we had a very fun kids tasting. We had several of those, but the first one that we did was a lot of fun. We had yellow plates and blue plates, black plates and white plates, and we asked the kids, what do you like? Food on the white plate, food on the black plate, food on the yellow plate, food on the orange plate. And, it was very revealing to a lot of parents that they didn't even know what their kids really wanted. For instance, we gave them salmon, and we had children saying, wow, my mom never serves me salmon. And then the answer from the parent was, I didn't know you would like salmon. So, there was a disconnect. And I think we in the restaurant world have an opportunity and an obligation to explore this and, try these items, put them on the menu. And, now the salmon has been on our menu for the kids menu for 4 to 5, already over 4 years. Of course, we've been able, to make some changes, and it's been a, trial and error, like it always is. But we have found that kids are very pliable, and if you give them strawberries and tomatoes, they will eat strawberries and tomatoes. If you give them French fries and home fries, they will eat those as well. So it's really up to us to make the right guidance. So, we removed the items of a menu, egg beaters, breakfast, vegan coleslaw. And, also part of this is you got to create fun. It's got to be kids-friendly, names on the menu, things they can associate with, and, really entice the children. So Kids Live Well program, that is something, that actually what we found is when we started this is we did not have to make that many changes. We had items on the menu that were, some of them were already low in fat and some are low in sugars. And, because a lot is based on common sense. So what we did is, we just fine-tuned it, and we started with the NRA, with the Kids Live Well program. And all our items that we have on the menu are under 600 calories, and that includes, a beverage and dessert. So, we took temptations off the menu, like home fries, temptations like coleslaw, home fries and French fries, and we also took sodas off the menu. Doesn't mean that we are not going to serve those to you, but by not displaying them on the menu, there is a better chance that the child will make a healthier choice, and the parents will be grateful for it. So we made these, we made this all in effect in 2012, and you can see on your slide we removed the French fries and soda. As I said, we offer those, but by not having them, we have seen a tremendous amount of sales going down on those items. For instance, the Coke and the sodas have gone from 35 to about 29%, so 6% down. And the biggest change is in the French fries and home fries. But it was 60% of the kids chose those. Now it's only 20%, and they're picking the tomatoes and the strawberries instead. So after this, we're going to show you a video, but we analyzed the data from the kids menu shortly. Total number of each children and entrees, as I mentioned to you, we bundled, and then each entree, and I'm gonna, then I'm gonna hand it over to Chris now, who is going to go talk about this next slide over here.
Great, thank you. So this was a really unique opportunity, a partnership between an academic organization and a restaurant chain, where they shared all their data with us, and we independently, without any funding from the restaurant, of course, but independent funding, conducted an analysis. And we analyzed data from the kids' meals shortly after the menu changes, and then again at 1 year and 2 years after, to assess the changes in the ordering patterns. And what we looked at was aggregate data from more than 650,000 orders across all 13 Silver Diner locations. So the assessment periods included a pre-period before these changes that you just heard about were made, between September 2011 and March 2012. Then we looked at it immediately post in September 2012 through March 2013, and then 1 year after that, and then 2 years after that. And data from each time period included the total number ordered of each type of children's entree, the bundled side dish, beverage, and dessert. And each item was coded as healthy or unhealthy based on its designation as meeting the Kids Live Well criteria. And lastly, we examined the restaurant's total annual revenue. And now I want to show you some detailed results. And these results have been published in 2 peer-reviewed articles in scientific journals, and the references are shown to you here. So shortly after the menu changes, there were notable shifts toward healthier children's meal orders. When healthier entrees were more prevalent and prominent, customers ordered them nearly half of the time. So you can see the healthy children's entree going from 3.1% of orders up to almost 50% shortly after the menu changes. And 38% of side dishes ordered, bundled with the children's meals, were healthy before the changes, but following, that went up to 3/4 of side dishes that were healthy. Similar changes were seen for beverages, with 3/4 of kids' meal orders including a healthy beverage. And the fountain drink orders decreased from 35% to 24% in the last follow-up period. And if you look at the column all the way to the right, follow-up 2, you can see that these results remained largely unchanged more than 2 years after the menu changes. And this is really important, demonstrating it wasn't just a short-term change that people were perhaps excited about when the menu was first put into the restaurant, but it was actually a change in the norm, a change in the way that people were ordering in this restaurant chain over multiple years. So we were very excited to see that it was sustained. And what was really exciting was to see that Silver Diner's revenue continued to grow, exceeding that of leading family dining chains during the same time period. So I'm going to turn it back to Chef Ipa to talk to us about some of the lessons learned through the process.
Yes, I'd like to definitely talk about the lessons learned. But I also want to point out, Chris, to you that the kids menu is not really. We don't look in our organization as a money maker. It brings in the parents with the kids because the kids decide a lot of times where the parents will have dinner. So it's not a money maker. Actually, the cost of the menu for each item went up by about 35% when we made those changes. But we have gotten the revenue that I will talk to you about, through the parents, because most of these little guys that come in that are 6-year-old bring their parents along because they're not allowed to come by themselves. So that was a great, way of attracting them. Now the lessons learned is, what we found is that by putting all these strawberries on a lot of the side dishes is that, our strawberry sales spiked, and that's part of the expense that I mentioned to 35 cents, per dish. Then the ordering, we had to learn how to order because by getting the fresher and better food in, because we did it in conjunction by changing our whole concept to fresh and local, that we were having much more perishable food on the line. And rather than ordering something for 3 or 4 days, we had to do an ordering on Monday to come in again on Tuesday. So much more daily ordering, and that holds the same for the prep. The prep life of the items that we have got shorter, and first we were saying, wow, can we really sustain this? And of course, because we were going back to what we were doing basically at home, and mom buying the daily shopping before everything went into the freezer years ago. So we have just gone back to the basics again, and I can tell you it instills an enormous amount of pride in our associates in the kitchen and in the front of the house, the service, because they are much more proud of something that is made daily and prepped daily and is healthy, rather than something that comes out of a box. So the staff training was an important element of this too. We had to educate them, and we had to re-educate them on how important it is for kids menu. because, whereas before it was just offering the kids, tenders or, a slice of, or something, or a little burger. Now all of a sudden we're having bison burgers and we're having Cod Farms turkey. So we had to educate our staff how to sell this and how to educate the parents and the kids as well and make them buy in. But the buy-in, has been overwhelming over the last couple of years. Our sales have gone to a staggering 45% up over the last 7 years. So I don't think you can argue with that. And I know we have done a lot of things, but the kids are a huge part of it. The kids' entree sales, the kids have gone up by 10%. The entrees by 22%, but, the overall sales of kids' meals have gone up by 10%, so which is enormous. That shows you that it's working. And we're glad it's working because we are, we're creating healthier little guys and little girls. Then the conclusion that I have on this is, healthier kids menus can be a win-win for children and restaurants. You heard the numbers that I mentioned, 45% up in sales over the last 7 years, 10% up on the kids menu, 22% more of the kids' entrees over the last years. But, I think there is really an underlying feeling that we should not forget. It is very, very satisfying to see healthier kids to do this, because I want to disclose by saying that I think it's our moral obligation, and I've said this many times, it's our moral obligation to serve better food to our kids, to the families, and we can all do it. Is it more work? Yes. Did it cost us more? Yes. But the rewards that you get back for it are overwhelming, not only in finances, but are overwhelming in knowing, that you go to sleep at night and you've done something good for kids. Kids live well, typically you have 1 or 2 meals. We have now 10 on the menu, 10 healthy choices on the menu, where we had 2 before. So, that is staggering, and I think we all should join this. We need to. And then I think that that'll be opening it up now for questions and answers. I think, is that correct, Chris? And
yeah, that sounds great. Let's take some questions.
So everyone, if you have questions, you can use the dashboard, the webinar dashboard on the right side of your screen to submit your question. And to start us off, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit more. Again, you can kind of build on the point you were making before about why restaurants are such a critical arena when we think about childhood obesity in the United States.
Sure. So the frequency with which children dine out has really changed over the past couple of decades. In some low-income populations, children are eating out at fast food restaurants 3 times a week. They're also eating at full-serve and casual dining several times a month. So if you put this together and you think about excess consumption on those days of up to 150 calories, that can really add up over the course of weeks or months and add to positive energy intake, which contributes to unnecessary weight gain and obesity. So again, this is one variable in a very complex web of why we have arrived at a place where childhood obesity is truly an epidemic. But it's something that we can demonstrate through this type of partnership and research can have a real impact. These kids who are dining now, ordering and consuming the healthy meals, are eating fewer calories, the right amount of calories, 600. They're eating less saturated fat, less sodium, more fruits and vegetables. And if we can think about every time children eating out, consuming meals that look like that, that will go a long way toward not only preventing unnecessary weight gain, but to getting the nutrients they need for growth and development.
Thank you. Chef Aoife, can you speak to what part or maybe parts of this process for the Silver Diner surprised you most along the way?
What surprised us the most in a lot of ways is that actually it was a very pleasant surprise that it's so well received, and that tells you that the timing is here, just what Chris is mentioning, that families go out so often now, and they go 2 or 3 times a week and eat fast food, and that kids eat food that really has very little nutrients in it. And, we find it very surprising that parents come up to us and write us letters and say, well, thank you for doing this. Thank you for having these healthier options. And, even if the kids wants to have spaghetti with a tomato sauce, it comes with a side of veggies. And then, then the overall experience becomes so much better for the child to have the veggies with the spaghetti. So you learn how to eat things in moderation in smaller portions, and also at the same time how to combine proteins with the carbohydrates, and then serving better carbohydrates. So that has been very surprising, a great surprise for us, is that it has been so well received, and that people are asking no more. And what a surprise for us is that once you start this, is that you can't get off this anymore, and you have to supply people more and more with data. Now they want more. They want to know what, not just the calories. They want to know the sodium. They want to know the salt. They want to know the allergens. So, once you start going on this, you have to be prepared to dig deep into it and be able to continue that journey, because people will ask you for more and more information.
Thank you. Chris and Aoife, do you want to walk us through some of the other key takeaways from today? Just wrap it up for our audience here.
Sure. I think one of the most important things to take away is that change is possible. And what we always emphasize is you need to make the healthy choice more prevalent, prominent, and by default. Meaning the number of items on the menu that are healthy can't be the minority. They need to be at least half or even the majority. So the prevalence needs to be higher. The prominence, meaning how you feature them and where you put them on the menu, not hidden in the corner, but mixed within or even standing out. And last but not least, by default. So by removing soda and French fries from the menu, you saw the dramatic change in ordering. Sure, people were able to still have choice. As Chef Ethos said, it's really important that people have a choice. And there were still patrons who were ordering soda and French fries. But it decreased dramatically just by making it the default. And that's occurring in restaurants across the country, and we're really seeing dramatic changes. And it's definitely the way to go with kids. So change is possible, and then by partnering with us or looking at your own data from the restaurant chain that you work in, results prove impact. So if you follow trends over time, you can really see dramatic changes that will have significant impact on children's health. And Chef Ethos, you want to go on with the last three?
Yes, know your audience. That is so important. And the way we learned about our audience is not just through our operating partners and general managers and staff in the store, but what Matilda and Joe did through our kids club. We got all the data and information, and then understand what changes you have, what changes you need to make, what you have to do. So knowing your audience and understand them and understand what the needs are of the public. Now, in terms of expecting the unexpected, be prepared for, as we said before, that once you get on this, that people will ask you for much more information. It's a continuing journey. When they see that you have interest in this, when they see that you are totally behind this, then they will want more offerings, and they're going to want more information. It will mean retraining of your staff. You have to make your staff very well knowledgeable in terms of what are we serving, and to explain it to the guests and explain it to the children, and understand the allergens. So that is a lot in terms of expecting the unexpected when it comes to that. We see this as an evolution, not a revolution. So when I know that I have a great audience today that involves a lot of restaurants, and I know that you're probably thinking, wow, how do we start with this, and you're scared. Well, we were too, but look at it as an evolution, not as a revolution. And, you start somewhere. You start slowly. You start with a couple of items, and then, you take it from there. So, be prepared for it in that way. Get everyone on board, of course, and Chris talked about, but, the results the results prove the impact. I mentioned that our sales have gone up 10% in kids entrees, 45% overall sales increase in the last 7 years. So, when you look at our same restaurants, where we were a $30 million company that has now gone to a 55. So, you can't argue with those numbers that, that it works. And most importantly, it works for the families, it works for the children. And I think we all can make this contribution, and we all should make this contribution to promote a healthier lifestyle for the little children and the adults.
Thank you both. And for all of our participants, please do feel free, if you have additional questions after the webinar, to reach out to Dr. Economos or Chef Ipe. Their email addresses are on the screen in front of you, and you'll also have an opportunity to reach out through me through the automatic follow-up that you'll receive, that you received as part of your confirmation. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their afternoon. And Chris and Ipe, thank you so much again for your time.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for inviting us. This is something close to our heart, near and dear. Appreciate that we get to talk about this. Thank you.
Thank you.